Hello, third grade, or should I say Noah, because actually Noah, this video is specifically for you. You're the only third grader left learning at home, and I really miss you. I really miss seeing your face, and I hope you and your mom are doing so well. And I'm glad that you are staying home and staying safe, because that is the most important thing. But I miss your face. But this video is for you. We've been making color wheel pizzas in class, and I want you to make one too. You do have all of the supplies that you need at home in your art kit. So let's say our art class prayer, and then we will get started, right? In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. To our Father we pray, keep us creative and curious for all of our days. Amen. Okay, so let's talk about the color wheel. The color wheel is a really neat tool that tells us a lot about how color works and how we can mix colors together to make new colors and what colors look good together. It tells us a whole lot of things, and it's really just a simple wheel. And we're going to make our own version of the color wheel as a pizza. So before I show you how to do it, I'm going to explain a few things about the color wheel. So there are 6 colors on your basic color wheel, which is what this is. There's red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple, or violet. Violet and purple are the same thing, just 2 names for the same thing. 3 of these colors are what are called primary colors. That's spelled P-R-I-M-A-R-Y. And what primary means basically is the first. So when we talk about primary colors, we're talking about the first colors. And those are red, blue, and yellow. And the reason that they're called primary or first colors is because you can't make those colors from other colors. They have to exist. But you can make all the other colors from them. So if you needed to make a bunch of paint colors, but you only had enough money to buy 3 tubes of paint, you would buy red, yellow, and blue. And from those colors, you can make every other color of the rainbow. So now let's talk about purple, orange, and green. There's a name for those 3 colors too. Those 3 colors are called, see here, secondary. S-E-C-O-N-D-A-R-Y. Secondary. So that is green, purple, and orange. So red, blue, and yellow are the primary colors, meaning they are the first ones. They have to exist. Green, purple, and orange are the secondary colors, and that means that they come second in that they can be made from the primary colors. And you'll see we're actually going to make them. We're going to do a little bit of paint mixing experimentation today, so you will see for yourself how this works. But the color wheel gives you a little bit of a clue, actually a big clue, on which colors to mix together of your primary colors to make your secondary colors. And all you have to do is look at the order. There's a specific order that the color wheel has to be in. And if you look at the order, you will see that red and yellow, for instance, are on either side of orange. And what that means is if you want to make orange, you have to mix red and yellow together, and they make orange. Similarly, if you want to make green, just look on the color wheel, look at what colors are on either side of it, yellow and blue. Mix those together, you get green. And then the same with purple. What's on either side of purple? You have red, and then you have blue. Mix those 2 primary colors together, and you get purple, a secondary color. So I'm going to switch to table mode. What you're going to need to start is your crayons and one of those big pieces of the thick white paper. That's what we're going to make our pizza on. So I'm gonna switch over and I will see you at the table. All right, Noah? Okay, so we are here ready to go. Hopefully you have one of these big, thick white papers from the Papers for Art class envelope and just your pack of crayons from the supplies. I want you to take out your black crayon to start, just the black crayon to start. And we're gonna do all of our outlines in black. And then what you need to find, I'm gonna use one of these plastic plates that we use in art class to mix paints, but you just need to find something circular, like a plate would work, that fits on this paper, and hold it down and just trace the outline of a circle. So hopefully you can find a plate or something else that's round that you can trace that fills up almost all of this paper, because we want a nice big color wheel pizza. So that's what you start with. And then this is the outline of our pizza. We are now going to create the crust of our pizza by drawing another circle just inside. And just take your time, and it doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, nothing about this has to be perfect because it's a pizza, and pizzas aren't perfect either. All of the slices aren't exactly the same size all of the time, so don't worry about any of that. So once you have this, we are going to add some pepperonis to our pizza. And this is where you have to try your best to place them. But again, if it's not perfect, don't worry. We're gonna start with one right up here at the top, and then we're gonna imagine a triangle, okay? And we're gonna go down here and we're gonna do another one down at that corner of the triangle, and then imagining this triangle again, we're gonna come down here and do another pepperoni. So now we have 3 pepperonis, we need 3 more. And what you wanna do is you wanna go just in the middle of the ones that you've already drawn. And now you have 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next, put a dot somewhere near the center of the pizza, and we are going to make our pizza slices now. So you're gonna draw out from the center through the middle of each one of your pepperonis, not the middle of the pepperoni, but between 2 pepperonis. Draw out all the way through the crust. And we're making our slices of pizza now. So draw that line between 2 pepperonis all the way out through the crust. And now we have a pizza with 6 slices. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now I like lots of pepperonis on my pizza. So I am going to add a bunch of more circles. You can even cross over a line if you want to. Not all pepperonis are the same size, but you can add however many pepperonis you want to this pizza. And I'm gonna stop right there. Okay, now, each one of these slices of pizza is going to become a color on our color wheel. So the next thing we have to do is we have to clearly label them. And this is the part where you do have to be precise, because you need exactly 6 colors in the correct order. So up at the top, I usually start with red. So in the crust, just write out R-E-D for red. Then go to the right, and in your next slice, it's going to be orange. O-R-A-N-G-E. Okay, moving to the right again, the next slice will be yellow. Y-E-L-L-O-W. To the right again, now it is green. G-R-E-E-N. to the right again. The next slice is blue, B-L-U-E. And one more turn to the right. Our final slice will be purple, P-U-R-P-L-E. All right, so now our color wheel pizza is perfectly labeled. And what you want to do next is you want to go through your crayon box and find the colors of each one of these slices. Now there are a bunch of different, for example, there are a bunch of different oranges. There's a red orange, there's a yellow orange. We want the one that's just orange, straight up orange. You get your yellow, red. We want the one that's green, not the yellow green, but the one that's just green, blue, and then violet, purple. So not the blue violet, but the violet. Put all the other colors to the side. These are the 6 colors that we want. Our red, our orange, our yellow, our green, blue, and purple. And what we're going to do is we are going to color in the cheese part of our pizza. So that's everything around the pepperonis. We're gonna leave the crust alone, and we're going to leave the pepperonis white for now because we're going to paint them in later. But using your crayons, you wanna color in just the cheese area of your pizza. So I'm gonna speed up this portion of the video, but you take your time coloring. You wanna get a nice thick layer of crayon wax covering each slice.
Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, and then I watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm just sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay. 'Cause I've had nothing to live for, and look like nothing's gonna come my way. So I'm just gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Look like nothing's gonna change. Everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same. Listen, sitting here resting my bones, and this loneliness won't leave me alone. Listen, 2,000 miles I roam just to make this dock my home. Now I'm just gonna sit at the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Ooh, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time.
Okay, so when you are finished coloring all of the cheese of your pizza, you can go ahead and put all of your crayons away. We are going to move on to the painting portion. So I will show you what you need to get out next. Okay, so our next step here is the painting step, and this is where it gets really fun and we get to do some paint mixing. It's almost like a little science experiment. So what you're gonna need is you're going to need your watercolor set. You want your big fluffy brush, some water, and something to mix paints on. So if you have just a plastic lid to a plastic container, that's the perfect thing to mix paints on. So we're gonna open up our palette, and you're actually gonna take this part out, and if you push from the bottom on these ovals, you can actually pop them out. I want you to pop out your red, your yellow, and your blue. So remember what those three colors are called? Those are called your primary colors. And the rest of these colors, you're gonna put away. You're just gonna have your yellow, your blue, and your red out. And these are the only paint colors that we're gonna use today. We're going to use them to make our secondary colors of green, purple, and orange. Okay, so first, we're going to paint in the pepperonis of our primary colors. So we're just gonna take some water, hold our little oval of yellow paint, we'll wake up that paint, make a puddle of yellow water on top of the oval, and paint in our yellow pepperonis. And if you have pepperonis that cross over a line, you just paint in the part that's on the side that you're coloring. And that's it for yellow, easy peasy. Next up, blue. You want to rinse out your paintbrush really, really, really well. Make sure there's no yellow paint left in it. And then we're going to do the same thing for our blue pepperonis. And just paint those in with our blue paint. Done. Next up is red. Again, rinse out your brush really, really, really well so that you don't have any blue paint remaining on the brush. Get water on top of that red color and paint in your red. Okay, we are done with those three slices, but the fun part comes in mixing our colors to create our green, our purple, and our orange paint. So next we're gonna do that. Okay, so let's do our green first. Now you can see on one side of green we have yellow, on the other side of green we have blue. So that means take red out. The two colors that we need to mix together to make green are yellow and blue. We're gonna take some yellow, put it on this plastic lid, rinse out our brush, get some blue, put it on our lid, and mix those two colors together, and we get green. Now you can change, if you add a little bit more blue, you get a more bluey green. I want this green to be a little bit more yellow than it is, so I'm gonna take some more yellow, add that in, and then it becomes a lighter, more yellowy, greenish color. And that is perfect, that's just what I was looking for. So now I'm gonna paint in my green pepperonis. I love mixing colors together. I just think it's so fun. Okay, now we're gonna need to get a rag or a paper towel of some sort, wipe this off to do our next color, which is going to be purple. All right, so I've got my rag. This is still really wet, so you can just wipe that right off and it's clean. So now we have to make our purple. So looking at our color wheel, on either side of purple we have blue, so we know we need to mix blue and red. So these are the two colors that we're gonna mix together to make purple. So using that same process, take some blue, put it on here. Be sure that you are rinsing your brush out really well in between colors, because we want our colors to mix on this plastic lid. We don't want them to mix in the ovals themselves. Add red. And we've got purple. Paint in our purple pepperonis. Yay! Isn't it fun? Wipe this off. We don't need our purple anymore. We have one more secondary color to make, and that is orange. So we're gonna look on either side of our color wheel here. Orange is in between red and yellow. So we're gonna need red. Make sure your brush is all washed out. Get some red. Rinse it out before we dip into the yellow paint. Make sure your water runs clear when you do this before you dip into your next color of paint. We're gonna get our yellow, mix those together, and it's almost like magic. We've got orange. So we're gonna paint in our orange pepperoni. Awesome. So now we're almost done. The only thing left to paint on our pizza is the crust. And crust is brown. So the question is, how do you make brown? And this is where I want you to experiment. It's a combination of all three of our primary colors. You need all three of them to make brown. I already have red and yellow mixed here, so I need a little bit of blue mixed into this to make brown. I'm gonna take just a drop and see what happens here. Yeah, I like that brown. That is a good brown. So that was the orange that I made from the red and the yellow. And then just a little drop, tiny little drop of blue added in. But you can experiment and see. Everybody in class came up with a slightly different kind of brown. And any brown will do for your pizza crust. So you just have to experiment and see what works. And there you have it. Your color wheel pizza. Looks good enough to eat. Or not. I don't know. Maybe not. But you're just gonna let this dry. Just let it sit on the table, let it dry, and then we'll cut it out and put it on some black paper and make a banner for the top that says the color wheel. It'll be super pretty. So let this dry for now, and then we'll come back in a few minutes and make the rest. Okay, Noah, so now that we have finished the pizza, what you want to do is you want to cut it out, and because it's so pretty and so satisfying and such a good tool to understand color, this is something that you might want to keep and maybe put up on your wall to remind yourself of how colors work. So what you want to do is you want to cut out your pizza, get one of these big black thick pieces of paper. We're gonna glue this onto here, and then we're gonna make a banner up here that says the color wheel. So the next step of this is drawing a banner. And I've uploaded this to the assignment, so you can have this, you can print it out or just look at it on the computer to follow the steps. This is just really a fun decorative thing to know how to draw. And you can write words inside, and you can use this for decorating all sorts of stuff. So what you want for this is you want a piece of this nice textured watercolor paper. So there were 4 sheets of this to begin with in your painting packet. And you just want to pull one out. And you might want to do this with a pencil first and then go over it with a permanent marker if you have a Sharpie at home. But if you don't, you can also just use your black crayon, but I still recommend doing it in pencil first so that you can erase any mistakes that you make, because it is kind of tricky. But here's what you want to do to draw a banner. First, make a nice arc like that, sort of like a rainbow. And then slightly smaller and slightly in from the edges, do another one and just try to keep, oh, it's my alarm, hold on. Okay, try to keep the thickness between the 2 lines the same. And then we're gonna connect them with just a slightly rounded line like this. And then curving out, we curve this way with this line. This next line is going to come out from here and it's going to curve out just slightly the other way. And we'll do the same on this side. Okay. Then the rest of your directions are here. You create that sort of decorative ends to this ribbon banner and then curve it up again this way to meet just inside. Curve that up. Okay. Then we want to give the illusion that this is a banner that starts here, folds over, wraps around, folds over again, and then comes back out. So we're going to create these little lines that make it look like it's folded. And just color those in because they're in shadow. And then we can just add little decorative lines here. And Noah, this part of the assignment is really not that important. So if you can't get it, don't worry too much about it. But if you enjoy this and you enjoy the challenge, you have room on your watercolor paper to try several times to get it just right. And then you have to space out your words. We have 3 words: the, color, wheel. So you have to sort of gauge how much room that you have here so that you don't run out. And if you do, you can just try again if you're having fun with it. I'm gonna write out the, color, wheel. And I've done this a few times, so I sort of know how much space I have. And then I'm just gonna go over and thicken up my letters a little bit, make them a little cooler looking. And the reason we're doing this with permanent marker is we're gonna paint over the top of it. And if you do it with a different kind of marker, if we do watercolor paint on top, all of these black lines will smear. So we want to use a permanent marker if you have one at home. And if you don't have a permanent marker, you can use your black crayon because that will resist the paint as well. Okay, so now this is ready for paint. Okay, so when we paint this time, I want you to put those red, yellow, and blue ovals back into your watercolor set. And we're just gonna use all the watercolors this time, unless you want to keep mixing colors, which you can do. But we're also gonna use our tiny little brush. I'm not sure if I packed a little brush for you. You can use your big brush or whatever brush you have on hand to do this. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna paint the colors in order, like a rainbow, and we're gonna let one color just sort of bleed into the next. And by that, I mean, we'll start with red, rinse out our brush, go in and do orange, and overlap the colors a little bit. Because the colors that are next to each other on the color wheel and in the rainbow, they blend really nicely with each other. So we go from red to orangey red to orange. And then we just work our way down this watercolor set. So the next color is yellow, and we let that blend a little bit with the orange. So we have an orangey yellow, and then just spread the yellow a little bit further. Next, we're gonna go in with green. Let it blend a little bit there. And then bring it over. And we are gonna cut this out. So of course you don't really need to stay inside of the lines, but you can if you want to. Blue, I'm gonna thin that out with some water. And now because I have so much water on there, I'm gonna take my rag and just blot it a little bit. Back in. So now the green blends a little bit with the blue there. Spread out the blue, and next up is our purple. Let that blend a little bit with the blue at first, overlapping, and then bringing it out on its own. And now we're at the end. We're not using our black, we're not using our brown, but I still have space, so I'm gonna go back up like our color wheel tells us. You can just keep going around in a circle. These are all in a line, but if you imagine it were a circle, we would go from purple back up to red. And let those colors blend. And then bring it over and start over again. Next is orange. And then yellow. You might have to rinse out your brush to get the orangey color out of it if you want a nice bright yellow to end with. And we're done. So now you're gonna let that dry and put this whole thing together. So we'll have our color wheel glued down here, cut out our banner, put it right up top here, and you'll have a nice, beautiful color wheel pizza to hang on your wall.